Hello, there are key moments in television that you sort of remember for the rest of your life. Of course, I'm a little bit older than so many other people, but there are things that I remember. I remember Boy George saying that he'd rather have a cup of tea. I remember Julian Clary going to an award ceremony, making a rather casual comment about the fact that the decor looked like Hampstead Heath, and then saying one of the most outrageous things. It was one of the most outrageous jokes I think I've ever heard, and it was funny. Outrageous and funny. It wasn't even innuendo, it was just pure filth. And it was very, very funny. Even Richard Madeley was roaring with laughter. I forget who the host was. The fellow who ended up being cancelled himself. I can't remember his name now. Jonathan Ross. He paused for a few minutes and, are we actually still on air? It was that rude. I remember that vividly. I really remember that. And when it comes to television moments, those are the television moments that I think I will always remember. Things like that. Things that just sort of happen. And the fact that they were live at the time, I think that added. And of course, I also remember John Noakes and the Elephant, so many of those brilliant slip-ups and catastrophes of live television. But Meghan Markle's brother appearing on Big Brother, on Australian Big Brother on Channel 4, I think, this is not something to remember. This is desperation. And just when you start to think, just when you start to give Meghan Markle a little bit of credit, just when you think, okay, maybe she's not so bad, you get this. Okay, she's not responsible for the rest of her family, I suppose, but it's sad. It's sad, and I think the whole Big Brother thing is terribly sad. The desperation to find people to humiliate on national television. This is the problem, because these reality shows like Big Brother, they seem unable these days to recognise that simply putting real people, democratising television with a really good production company, this is interesting in and of itself. There were moments of the programme that I was on which I think were interesting simply because they allowed the characters to breathe. And then it took a twist. You don't need to be nasty or related to Meghan Markle to make good telly and to be entertaining. You don't need to be in the middle of a gladiatorial combat. I think if you go back to Julian Clary, you don't see much of Julian Clary these days, except in the Palladium pantomime, and well done for doing that. But when he was doing his own quiz show, his own sort of version of the Generation Game, I suppose. I think it was called Sticky Moments. He used to go outside and select his contestants from the people who were waiting to come into the show itself. That would never happen now. Now everybody has to be vetted, everybody has to be processed, and everybody has to be sort of wacky and entertaining in and of themselves. And in fact, most of the time, you're telephoned out of the blue. I was telephoned out of the blue for The Circle, presumably because I was judged to be wacky enough in and of myself. I don't know very many people. I've spoken to so many people from reality TV over the last few years, because I do find it a very interesting phenomenon, and I think it could be sensationally good. I think it's gone down a very dark rabbit hole. And I would love to pull it back. I would love to I'd love to take hold of it and say, this is what it should be. This is how ordinary people can get involved in entertainment. They don't need to have to suffer for that. It should be a pleasure. I can say it really is not a pleasure to be involved in these things. It really is quite painful, and people really do suffer. They may not tell you they suffer because they're so desperate to actually survive in this medium. It's a nightmare, particularly afterwards when you are processed. When you are processed by who? By who? Who are these people who have who are processing you? I still don't know. I still don't know to this day what is going on there. What I know is that people. It's not about mental health. It's about being denied professional courtesy and being denied professional treatment and independent support. It's actually about a magnificent display of bullying, I'm really quite ashamed of being involved in that. Though the actual filming that I did was wonderful. I couldn't have asked for anything better. In my experience, it all occurred afterwards. But Julian Clary would never be allowed to get away with going out into the street and picking his own contestants now. And I think that's a great shame. And I also think the more live TV and the more... do you remember Esther Ranson? Esther Ranson going into the street and asking people questions, ordinary people. Not the brother of Meghan Markle. We need to have ordinary people on television. Because people are interesting. I must say, I'm always fascinated just to talk to people that I meet. I find that fascinating. I find everybody is fascinating and everybody is interesting. You don't have to be sort of flying aeroplanes or looping the loop or doing something exotic. Of course, that makes very good television in and of itself. But everybody is different, and because of that, everybody can be interesting. You just need to find the right producer. So there we are. A little thought about TV to send you off to bed.